I want to talk to you today about renovation optimism. You call it new build optimism. It's really just getting to your dream home optimism. And I've seen it so many times throughout 12 years with SHM. So many people, really, really intelligent people, some of our best clients, some of the smartest people I've met, taking the long way ultimately. And it starts with that optimism at the outset that sets them up for, I won't call it failure, although this does result in a lot of fails of renovations, extensions. I expect this is the biggest killer of dream home projects, and it is that optimism at that early stage. Ultimately, what it results in is a really long journey through design, and whether or not a person has the stamina, emotional stability to see that through, well, who knows. But I'm hoping this episode can prevent a few of you smart people from making these mistakes. The crux of it is we've had many, many clients, and again, some of our best and some of our most intelligent clients that have wanted to hold on to that control sensibly. I get the sense of it. The biggest purchase of your life, to hold on to that control during the process. So go with a designer and then move on to a builder. So compartmentalize the process. Unfortunately, this building industry just isn't. There's just so much on offer. The world is so big in the building industry. And I mean, you're going with a designer or architect, you want it's a real custom home. It's not a cookie cutter home. So there's such a scale of what that home could become. I suppose I will share with you, I've got so many stories of people gone on this journey. One from many, many years ago was a guy, I actually drove past his block just in Moonee Ponds not long ago. This story is about from 2015. And the block's never been built on. So he actually genuinely did the right thing. At that time, we were a young builder. We weren't running to ECI, early contractor involvement. He was actually running the plans himself. And so we were doing, honestly, I'll put my hand up, we were doing back of the envelope sort of estimates. So we did that for him free. This is free. You shouldn't be paying for that. And you shouldn't be doing it because it can leave you up the garden path. But we did that for him. Then he went away and he developed his design. He was an engineer or something, and he developed his design. I think he was using someone overseas. Anyway, it took months and months, many months, about 8 or more months to come back. It was very slow. But finally came back. He had his full design, full engineering and everything, and wanted us to price it. He thought, he wanted to work with us as his builder. This was for 2 homes, and his budget was about 1.5 mil. This is, again, 2015. Somewhat doable back then. But these designs came back. It had like 10 meters of door, like wind glazing along one side. He had a pond under his stairs. It was just exceptionally and over the top. So his $1.5 million budget, we priced it at like 2.7 million. It was nowhere near it. And he went off. I assume he got other prices as well. Nothing ever come of it. That's a real, I was going to say it's really out there. I mean, the ponds and that sort of thing are, but it's such a common story. Another lady a few years back, again, this is a new home, and she had an architect design it. And her budget, again, was about maybe 1.5 mil again, or 2 mil, somewhere there. But the home was huge. And she'd done the process, as you can imagine, design it, get approval, get all documentation ready, engineering, etc., interiors, all selected, all done, and go out to 3 builders. The prices came back like 3.5 million. I saw the plans and I was astonished at the size of them. Like, with the budget of what she had, like, you can build a home for that. But how... I don't get, it was I believe, some degree of malpractice, to be honest, that if you're designing a home that is going to be built at like 3,000 a square metre, like, you're nowhere near it. You need double that. I know a lot of good architects around Melbourne, they're guiding their clients through around that 6,000 per square metre range. That's just a couple stories of many, many. But ultimately, our best clients have been on this journey, and it's not due to lack of research, it's actually due to over-research, really. I certainly would say, I think this has been the best approach for all of my career, has been to get a builder involved early, because it's really hard to educate clients on what they're putting into their homes and the cost of that. So getting a builder involved early has always been a great idea. And even 2014, but even 2006, now it is absolutely critical. The more and more architects I talk to, they are all moving in this direction. They are all going, all the good ones, I will say, they're all going with early contractor involvement, getting builders involved really early, getting to understand and know the clients and putting a clear budget to it. So we do this for a selective group of architects that we work with, but we're primarily design and build. And we are absolutely bullish on the design and build model. It's not fragmented, all liability under one roof. I think that's why a lot of people don't do it. That's why the industry is fragmented. But it just makes so much sense. And it's so much more straightforward to get the results that you're after. So the recommended approach, I would say, if whatever avenue you're looking to take, but the recommended approach that we do to keep budget aligned and scope aligned, we do a feasibility early. So that's the entry level position, and we put together spatial plans, nothing detailed, but identifies areas of work, and we nominate our live, we're looking at budgets weekly. So we up our live costings into that, and then we get clients satisfied with that, and then we move into concept design. And then it's critical that our designers focus on that design or target that spatial design and create a concept design. Of course, we do want to push the boundaries, and we do tell our clients to push the boundaries. Ultimately, we don't want to leave. We build forever homes. If you're going to do it, you want to do it really well. And it's easy to erase things in plan. It's much more difficult on site. So we want to push the boundaries, but not too much. So ultimately, we get the concept design to a place you're really satisfied with, and then that moves in a concept estimate. And that's when we put a full specification together. And that's really, that's a bullseye at that time. Of course, things change moving forward often. But ultimately, we put a bullseye on it, and there's always value management items that people add or remove. But ultimately, that price there is within 5 to 10%. We say our feasibility is within 10 to 15. Scopes from clients typically grow. So that's another reason to have a builder involved really early, or have the design and build. It's much easier to lasso those briefs and understand and provide that really critical insight early. Commentary along the journey when you're adding things, it's much easier to do. So that concept estimate we call it within 5 to 10%. Honestly, we're within 2%. I shouldn't put that on record, but we say we're within 5 to 10%, but in truth, we are really, really accurate. A recent client we had a budget around 800,000. We presented, it was an extension and a renovation. And so renovations, like, how far do you go? So budget was 800,000. Again, we don't want to leave anything on the table. We presented what you can do for 800,000, and then also the add-ons that you could do in the existing, new windows, bathroom in the existing always adds some degree of work to the existing, potential re-roofs, insulation, cladding replacements, lots and lots of things. And then, we're talking about HRVs that are optional for extension renovation, such as this was under the mill. That's where we call them optional. Over, we want them to be compulsory. We can't force clients, but highly, highly recommended in any home, to be honest. But ultimately, so we got that project to budget. There's lots of these add-ons the client could select. They said, nah, let's keep them out. So then we move forward into design documentation. And that's where we engage all consultants, engineering. And again, this is all under one roof. We engage them all as a builder, design and build firm, energy raters, interior design. We look after it all. So one point of contact, it just simplifies the process incredibly. But ultimately then the clients decide, well, look, we're spending 800,000. Let's just do it all now. Do it all now. We can live the rest of our lives and not have to wish we had done it. So then it's just a clear conversation. It's informed along the journey. Okay, adding that back in, that's equals 150,000. Pretty clear and really open process. And then we go to contract estimate. And contract estimates, of course, is a bullseye and might have some provisional sum or prime cost items, which may be things that are difficult to ascertain now. We might need to get to site and understand a bit further, do demolition, etc. But ultimately, that's all clear and upfront. So there's the ideal process, in my view. We've spent 12 years building it. Feasibility before you overly commit. And any architect designer should do that as well. That's within 10 to 15% typically. But it's only within 10 to 15% if that's followed through. That's the critical piece of that puzzle. And then after you're happy with a concept design, concept estimate. And this you can do with an architect or a designer as well. And this is when it's most critical to engage a builder. Of course, it works a lot simpler, design and build, where we build out a spec that, we're rinse and repeating. Of course, it's custom homes with standard components, really. So that's within, we say, 5 to 10% at the most. And then we move into design documentation and contract estimate, and obviously and contract signing. So that is the clearest and simplest process for getting your new home built, your new home or renovation built. But look, I understand lots of people go on different journeys, and that's what this conversation is really about. I do hope this can help people that are exploring their options. You can do multiple avenues. You can go to an architect or designer and still do it the right way. Just don't be overly optimistic about the outcome that you might get. Be really diligent about what you're after and what budget you need to hit, because there's so much heartbreak when things go awry in this industry, where you've spent months and months or years and years and tens of thousands of dollars getting to a point, and a lot of people see that as paper wasted. So I want to leave you now with 3 questions to ask anybody that you're looking to engage at this first entry point of the journey. First one is, when does a real price exist? So this isn't just and I'd say if you're going with an architect or a designer, this isn't a feasibility. This is a real budget. So this is what we would call at concept estimate. That's when we build out a spec. There are lots of assumptions because we don't have engineering, but any good builder's done it enough times, they know. And of course, we say within 5 to 10%. And again, we're under 5, I can say that. But it's reasonable to be within 5 to 10% because you don't have all the information. But that's a much better guide. Some clients we've seen that be 100% over. That just continue along the road blindly and end up 100% over, and the project's completely unviable. The next question is, who is accountable if you're over budget? Of course, being design and build, our intention, our ambition, our MOU is to get this project to site and get it built. So we have an invested interest in that. We're not focused on making money in design. But there are lots of good architects, of course, that will take this on board and have good answers for this. Then the third question is, have you done a project like mine before, and can you speak to somebody that you worked with? And it's easy to talk to that person about the end result, which is often fantastic, but understand the process. Quiz on the process to get there, and this may reveal more than you'd understand just by looking at a finished result, which is often fantastic. So I'll leave you with that. I believe renovation optimism at the early outset and the lack of understanding of the building industry, although I must say a lot of people that do go down the wrong path do know a little bit about the industries, that they know enough to be dangerous but not enough to really be effective. So that's can get you caught out. But of course, if you are down a path as well, you've gone with a designer or architect and you're over budget currently, just know that you've learned so much. I know that it's an emotionally draining and taxing process to go through, but just understand that that is not wasted and there are ways back. You may need to revisit the design. Terrible scenario, but it does happen. So I hope you can avoid that. If not, I hope you do get the outcome you're looking for at the end of the day and get an incredible, sustainable and healthy home that you and your family can live in the rest of your lives. Until next time, this is House of Meaning.